What's up, Taiwan? I'm Rick Glowett with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Chinese President Xi Jinping has urged his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, to negotiate with Moscow in the two leaders' first call since Russia invaded Ukraine. Beijing said it would send a special envoy to Ukraine for talks on the crisis. Ukraine said it would send an ambassador to Beijing, filling a position that's been empty for 2 years. Beijing has refused to condemn Russia's invasion. The call comes a month after Xi met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Ukraine's Zelenskyy described the conversation with Xi as long and meaningful.
Є можливість застосувати політичний вплив Китаю, щоб повернути силу принципам і правилам, на яких має триматися мир. Україна та Китай, як і абсолютна більшість світу, однаково зацікавлені у міцності суверенітету націй та територіальній цілісності.
Taiwan is sharing real-time intelligence with the Five Eyes alliance of Western countries. That's according to Taiwan's national security chief. He had this exchange with lawmakers on Wednesday.
跟五眼联盟的所使用的情报的电脑系统，如果未来要进行情报的对接，尤其是这种即时性的情报的时候，是可以对接得上的。
有保密性的，对，我们会透过保密性的系统。
那现在我们跟他们有没有实际进行情报的交换？
都有。
也是即时性的吗？
有。
Tsai Ming-yen was speaking about the National Security Bureau's efforts to prepare for Taiwan's upcoming national elections. He said the Bureau has been upgrading its computer equipment. This includes the ability to report and communicate with foreign countries. The Five Eyes alliance is made up of the US, the UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Most of them have moved to deepen relations with Taiwan in recent years, amid growing wariness of China. The United States and South Korea have agreed the US can now deploy nuclear-armed submarines in South Korean territory. The two countries' leaders met in Washington, D.C. Jaime Ocon reports.
Any attacks by North Korea will be met with a, quote, swift, overwhelming, and decisive response. That was the message from leaders of South Korea and the United States. The two countries have signed a landmark deal to allow U.S. nuclear-armed submarines to deploy in South Korea for the first time in 40 years. The deal was made as South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol met with his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden at the White House on Wednesday.
지금 전례 없는 복합 위기가 우리를 위협하고 있습니다. 한미 동맹은 세계 평화와 번영에 기여하는 정의로운 동맹으로서 이러한 위기를 함께 극복해 나가고 있습니다.
Last year, North Korea tested a record 95 missiles, and it's believed the regime is also getting ready to conduct a 7th nuclear weapons test. In response, the US and South Korea have stepped up joint military drills, showcasing their own advanced fighter jets and nuclear-capable bombers. But during the meeting between the two leaders, President Biden highlighted that increasing cooperation was more than just a deterrent for North Korea.
We discussed our work together on promoting peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits, ensuring freedom of navigation in the South China Sea and beyond.
The U.S. has been boosting its military presence in Asia in light of China's increasingly aggressive actions in the region. Beijing has upped its threats to Taiwan, which it sees as its own, and has threatened to invade the country. Nations like Japan and South Korea are not only concerned about North Korea's actions, but also China's intentions with Taiwan.
In fact, one of South Korea's major shipping lanes directly transits through the Taiwan Strait. So we can see a clear relation between, Korean economic security, energy security, and, the security and peace of Taiwan Strait.
The U.S. and its allies are stepping up their combat readiness, and they're hoping to prove that their cooperation is enough to deter a conflict from sparking in the region. And the close friendship of Presidents Biden and Yoon means that for now, they're all singing the same tune.
Long time ago.
James Lin and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei has given Taiwan's Vice President Lai Ching-te a jade mask. Giammattei presented the gift at a welcome banquet hosted by Lai in Taipei. The Guatemalan leader also visited an electric bus factory in the central city of Taichung. and he shared a cup of coffee with President Tsai Ing-wen at an event marking the start of Guatemalan Coffee Month. Giammattei is in Taiwan on a state visit, part of Taipei's efforts to shore up relations with its few remaining official allies. The son of Taiwan's former president Chen Shui-bian has been sentenced to 1 year in prison. Taiwan's highest court on Wednesday rejected Chen Shizhong's final appeal over money laundering charges. The decision ends a case that has lasted for nearly 15 years. It is one of a series of corruption scandals from the former president's 8 years in power. The younger Chen was found to have helped hide illicit funds abroad. He will also be stripped of his position as a Kaohsiung city councillor for the ruling Democratic Progressive Party. Right now, Taiwan's COVID task force is holding its last public meeting. After 3 years of handling the country's pandemic response, the group is disbanding. Eric Gao reports.
Behind me is where Taiwan's COVID response task force has been holding regular press conferences for the past 3 years. But now, the country is winding down its pandemic responses, and the group is being disbanded. The task force was established in January of 2020, soon after COVID was identified. It held press conferences every day, giving the latest info about infection numbers and government regulations, and of the inevitable deaths. Once vaccines became available, it also purchased the shots and coordinated distribution. The task force's efforts kept infection numbers down for a long time, winning international praise for Taiwan for its effective pandemic response. Then Health Minister Chen Shizhong chaired most meetings, making him one of the most recognizable people in the country during the pandemic. That popularity led him to vie for the position of Taipei mayor last year, though he lost that race. As the pandemic situation stabilizes, the task force started holding meetings weekly instead of daily. At the height of the pandemic, media vans would pack this area every day to get the latest updates from the task force. This empty lot is how it's going to be from now on as the group wraps up the last of its work. Rick E. and Eric Gao in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The suicide of a renowned Taiwanese artist has sparked debate over euthanasia in Taiwan. John Van Triest has this report.
A suicide that shocked Taiwan. After years of poor health, acclaimed sculptor Zhu Ming took his life Saturday. He was 85 years old. But in addition to mourning Zhu's loss, the case has also sparked a debate about euthanasia. Some, including lawmaker Wen Yuxia, say it's time for Taiwan to legalize the practice. Euthanasia isn't a new issue in the country. In 2018, sportscaster Fu Daren flew to Switzerland to end his life amid a fight with terminal cancer. He was also 85. Fu San says doctors were unable to stop his father's suffering. The health minister says dying patients can legally opt out of life-extending treatment. But he says euthanasia is different because a doctor has to be actively involved. Some doctors are also voicing concern over the issue.
如果真的通过了这个法案，那你真的要请医师来执行，医师还不一定会去，应该也有一个拒绝的权利啦。因为像你如果说叫我来结束这个生命，说实在我们真的于心不忍。
Despite another round of discussion, Taiwan remains deeply split on whether legalizing euthanasia is something it can accept. Ethan Pan and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, today we leave you with images of Taiwan's National Symphony Orchestra rehearsing at the Lincoln Center in New York. I'm Rick Lowett, take care and we'll see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, visit TaiwanPlus.com and download the app.